approaching 1300 in Central Europe. That's 12 o'clock high noon in the UK. This is RTI.
The station of the stars. RTI.
And welcome to Postcard from Poprad on a glorious day. Absolutely fabulous. I'll give you the instant update weather on my brand new Samsung S20 Ultra phone. Note the Ultra. It's 18 degrees. Wow. I should be suntanning tomorrow in my garden. My knees will get suntanned. The rest of me won't, because I shall wear my Bermuda socks and my shorts. So you only see me knees. Hello, Mick. Oh, hello, Mick Evans. We've got to say hi to the team first. By the way, we've still got a little bit of snow left, actually quite a lot of snow, on the High Tatras Mountains here in Poprad, which is kind of fun. And the people are all still being well behaved. They really are. See, they've got respect here, which is subtly different. We'll be answering some of the news points in my news roundup, which we keep brief for you today. But first of all, let's go and see if Henry's piece of wet string and 2 cans are working.
No, and he just told me to tell you he'll be back in a sec. He's having some technical difficulties.
Oh, I've got to get the soundtrack to that advert for Henry. The one about the internet being better in Slovakia than it is in Australia.
The Slovakia.
The slow. No, we're fast here. We're really mega fast.
Everyone's faster than us. It's like a third world country.
Oh, dear. Good morning to everybody. I'll say hello to you all in a moment. Rach, are you well?
I'm very well. I'm bored out of my gourd, but I'm extremely well. I've just spent the last week by myself, completely isolated from the universe. No company except Gordy, although he's the best company in the world if you want to be by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, Easter was a pretty interesting affair. I didn't get any eggs from the Easter bunny because apparently he doesn't visit sad old ladies in quarantine.
Oh,
that's all right. You know, we'll get there. We'll get there. If the worst thing that happens to me is that I don't get any chocolate, then I'm doing all right.
Do you want to hear Numpty of the Week story?
Yes, please. I love these.
We being a very Catholic country, we do celebrate Easter quite strongly. Now, under a typical... that's Henry.
That's Henry. He's like a fairy godmother that chimes in every so often.
Yeah. So, hello, Henry, quick, before you go again. No, he's gone. Oh, that didn't last very well, did it?
He just had nothing to say.
So anyway, Martina goes to the shops, which I'm still banned from going to, and comes back with a nice table placement for the kitchen table. Mm-hmm. And it had 2 huge Easter eggs on it, painted, and an Easter bunny with this green stuff sticking up. And I thought, and I looked and I said, hang on a minute. What's happened to that plastic grass? She said, why, what's wrong with it? I said, it's got bigger. I swear it has. She said, it's not plastic, you idiot. It's proper hay grass, the ones they grow in fields. And it's growing. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
Numpty.
I was the Numpty of the Week this week. But it's okay. It's all right, Rach. It's all right, because I have my new toy.
Oh, oh no, not the sandbag.
Yes, it's the
new sandbag.
It's the Samsung S20 Ultra. It's
rubbish.
It's important to have the Ultra. It's fab. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. How you doing, Dave?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm as cool as a cucumber, actually. I'm quite fun because I was talking to the chairman this morning and told him the 1 or 2 problems we've been having with Facebook. And we talked for a minute. He said, yeah, why don't you do that? And I went, cool idea. And then he said, hang on, how much money have I just spent? I said, well, a bit of time, about $10. And he said, let's do it. Oh, okay. And he said, when you're finished, give me a count, give me a shout, and we'll get the advertising agency on it.
Nice.
Does this mean, because I've given up with it to be entirely honest. It won't let me post hardly anything. Miserable thing.
Yeah, it will let you post graphics, but it won't let you post the URL of rti.fm. Now,
I didn't even put that in a message last night, and it wouldn't. I put Radio Tantras International, and it wouldn't even let me do that.
No, it won't.
Apparently.
It won't.
Yes.
So I've got round it by putting the posts to some of the better, and I have to say one of them is just superb, and it is not down to me. It's thanks to the people that make all the programs. What's it called? Online Radio is the website, and they wrote this huge, marvellous write-up about us. Is that Henry again?
Yes. That's the twinkle noise that announces Henry.
Henry? No, he still can't.
He's got his own theme.
He can't hear us yet.
No.
But anyway, how's Dave?
Well, yeah, I'm just sort of. Well, I've actually had some sleep now. I was pulling quite a number of long hours and archiving old stuff.
Yes, which we'll talk about in a bit. Not right now. Eric sat in the dark again. I know. The light here, it's one of those, what do you call it?
Broken?
No, it's not broken. It's one of those new stage lights, which is a white light, and it's supposed to last for zillions of hours. Good Lord, what was that?
Well, I reckon it was Henry.
I reckon
it
was Henry. It was Henry. And it's supposed to last for zillions of hours. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And it's getting dimmer by the day. So I think I'll probably have to go and throw it away soon and put an ordinary light bulb back in. It costs about 15 quid, this light.
Good grief.
It's only one bulb. And I'm going, Henry, what? So, Rach, message him and tell him. Oh, my Lord.
Henry, are you vacuuming? Because I love vacuuming.
Let's do a couple of quick hellos now, because we're 7 minutes in and haven't done anything. Craig Gordon says, sounds like a good phone, Eric. Oh, it is, mate. Oh.
No, it's not.
Oh, it is. It's fab.
You're wrong there.
No. And Jan called me an anorak this morning when I was going on about it.
Oh,
Henry!
Henry speaks.
Henry!
No, he's not. Quick, Rach, message him and say that he's going out live on air in case he says a naughty word. Yeah, if you see what I mean. I'll turn it down a little bit. Good afternoon to Stefan, who says, hi, everybody. Keith says, hello, Uncle Eric. Hello, Uncle Keith. Yeah, right. You think you're getting away with that one, don't you? Not. Justin and Mitchell are watching the video as well. Hi to you both. As does Jonsson. Oh, that's a nice name. Wonder where that's from.
That is a nice name.
That is a nice name, isn't it? Who else have we got on here? So many. It's Jerry Hogan is with us. Wow. Robin Haig. The lovely Steve Mans here saying good afternoon. And I think we might have to drop the Skype connection down for a little bit, as Henry's audio is awful. Have you messaged him, Rach?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I forgot that I was on Skype, and now I have to change to Facebook.
Oh, God, there he is again. Henry, you should know better. You're ex-BBC, darling. We've also got to say hello to so many others, and I will do this now, and I'll probably be able to explain all this in a minute. The lovely Safari fan is back, giving us lots of love. Thank you very much indeed for 20 kisses. Farah, is in the house, as is EM, and somebody called Dave Race. I don't know. Anza is there, along with, and I'll try and do some of I can't do them all. I just honestly can't. Hello, Kim. Hello to... Oh, that was me earlier. No, forget that one. Hi to Annette. I was just checking something out. And to Chicky. Oh, that's nice. I kind of like that, you know. Chicky.
That's nice. I like Chicky.
Yeah. Hello to Renata, to Ryan, to Albay. Gosh, you lot are trying my pronunciation, something terrible. I'll do some more in a little bit as we explain why there's probably so many of you here. When Rachel's been asleep, because it wouldn't be fair to phone Rachel at that time of the morning, her time of the morning, if you know what I mean, Dave and I have been doing a quick Anorak session on Mondays and Wednesdays, and we've been playing all these vintage radio bits, but not because they're vintage radio bits, because they've got lots of probably past now, I think, celebrities on them. That over the years, Dave and I have
black our way into seeing.
I was thinking of something slightly better than that, but
okay,
that'll do. And people from major soap operas, but internationally known people like Uri Geller and so on and so forth, including we had Wilma Flint. We haven't had Wilma Flintstone yet, have we? No,
we haven't played that one yet.
Yeah,
That's still to come.
We've still got Wilma Flintstone to come. We've spoken to Joe Barbera from Hanna-Barbera this week, and we also relived the last moments of Radio Luxembourg, where I was crying. And Dave, I hate webcams. I hate
because the one you've got keeps zooming in on your nose. You mean?
No, because I was sitting here listening to Henry.
Yes, hello. I'm so sorry.
Can you turn your monitors down?
Yep, sure.
Because it's coming back. There we go. We've got Henry.
We've got Henry.
Good Lord. I'll finish my story.
Is that like winning the lottery?
Yes, it is. In this world, anything positive is like winning the lottery. So I'll finish the story off. So, no, actually, do you want to finish the story off, Dave? Because you caught me, didn't you?
Oh, yes. What, running off, you mean?
No, it wasn't that. No, we did that in another bit of the show. No, we played the Radio Luxembourg bits just to clarify a few things.
Somebody was wiping his eyes. It was very, very funny.
I took my glasses off and had a little tear.
Aww.
And then he caught me on the webcam doing it. And then he told everybody.
Aww. No, you should have told everybody you were getting something out of your eye, like an eyelash or something.
I never thought of that.
He was getting something out of his eye. It was tears.
Tears, yes.
I haven't heard that piece for such a long time. I'd kind of half forgotten it, because when you're editing it together, you don't really listen to it. You just sort of, you go into a different world. And because I had nothing else to do, and I actually sat and listened to the clip, which was about 7 minutes long, of the lovely Mike Hollis, who's here on a Wednesday night on what is now the Radio Luxembourg Tribute Night, saying goodbye. And the big boss man of Radio Luxembourg in its final couple of years, John Catlett, he was saying nice things about somebody, at which point the little tear arrived. It was a bit much, Dave.
That is nuts.
Well, I mean, I can't. It was really surreal. I remember going up to my late parents' house not long afterwards, and my dad was so proud. He was like standing to attention proud of this broadcast. And of course, I suddenly realised from his very early days, he would listen to Radio Luxembourg post the Second World War and then on through the 50s. That's what he listened to at night. He always did.
You know, Eric, what's interesting about Luxie 208 is that as a teenager in a boarding school in the west of Ireland, of course, Luxie be heard all over Europe. I didn't realise that it was a post-Second World War radio station.
It was a pre-Second World War radio station.
A pre-Second World War?
Yeah.
Right. Mm.
Yeah, and
I did not know that because as a spotty teenager, I just loved listening to Radio Luxembourg because there was nothing else in Ireland. I got to tell you,
the short answer to your indirect question is it started in France in the 1930s. It then moved to the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg and carried on there. Originally, it was a long-wave radio station that went to medium wave. And with the fall of Luxembourg in the Second World War, an evil, nasty man who was actually, and I don't agree with killing people, but he was hung by the neck until dead as a traitor, Lord Haw came on and spoke using the 208 transmitters. And then when Luxembourg was regained, the station, as was, came back on air again. And it carried on right up until the 30th of December 1992. That's the potted history of Radio Luxembourg. And, of course, people could hear it all around the world on shortwave as well. And it was just the fabulous thing. And the speech that the boss made, including me, I didn't know he was going to do that. So it came as rather a shock to the system, if you can imagine that.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely was. So anyway, we move on, and we will, if you don't mind this week, I'm going to start, because there's quite a few bits of breaking news coming out, sitting on the screen of my brand new Samsung Ultra phone. Before I start,
is it?
Yeah, it is.
Are you being paid for these shameless plugs?
No.
Are we all getting one of these?
No, and they never send you one. Thank you very much, Apple.
Actually, I've got to be honest. I didn't buy it, and my wife said, "Why would you want to spend that much money on a blessed telephone?"
Why would you want to spend so much money on that particular blessed telephone? I'm with Martina.
I'm not going there.
Buying a rotten piece of fruit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not true.
She said yes.
I heard that. She did. She said yes.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
She did.
Mm-mm.
I've got the recording.
I'm a woman, and I remember what I said, and I remember what I said in 1982. So don't argue with me.
Oh yeah, she's a woman. We're always wrong, Dave.
Yeah. I make those comments.
See, you said yes. You said yes. You said yes.
Anyway, Cat Andrews has passed a message via Steve. Flipping heck. Can you remind everybody about his show tonight? I've just done it. Cat Andrews is on RTI tonight with his Catagogo show. And honestly, I won't spoil it by saying his real name on the radio, but Cat worked on a well-known radio station for donkey's years. He's met the Beatles, met the Rolling Stones. What he doesn't know about 60s, 70s, 80s music ain't worth knowing, because right the way through those years, he was either a studio manager or a producer. And so he knows these people. And when you hear him introduce them, you can tell by the way he introduces them how well he knows them. And I just wish he'd share some more of the stories. They are fab, really fab and groovy. So thanks, Kat, for doing that.
Does he know that Minogue woman? I have to get him to have words.
He probably has met her, thinking about it.
He needs to have words if he meets her again.
What have you done to it, or what's Kylie done to upset you?
Oh, don't ask! No!
Don't go there.
No, it's too late.
Maybe this is a conversation Rachel and I can have after the show.
It's all about a belt.
Now's a good time
belt?
as any
A
to
belt.
do it.
A belt.
Once upon a time, I'll tell it quickly. Once upon a time, when I was a actress, I was on a little show called Neighbours, and one day there was I was doing a couple of scenes in said show called Neighbours, and there was a young Kylie Minogue in the same dressing studio that I was in, and she was having trouble with a particular pair of jeans that they had given her. Girls will understand, all the girls will understand when I tell you that when you buy a new pair of jeans and you're a girl, it takes a little while for your waist to suit them. So they end up quite straight. And the only way to cure that is with a belt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she didn't have a belt. All the belts in wardrobe were rubbish. And she didn't have a belt. I was currently wearing my most favourite belt. As all very, very tiny girls will tell you, it is hard to get a belt to fit you that doesn't go round you 7 or 8 times. So this is a find. I found it in a market in Oxford Street. I believe I was with Henry at the time when I purchased it.
Yes.
And we were wandering out, and I saw this belt, lost my mind, my little tiny peroxide-headed mind, because I'd found a belt that would go around me once and was perfect. So I allowed her to wear it. I did give her a very stern warning before I gave it to her. I said, I am leaving here at the end of the day, not to return. My day I had only a 1-day gig on that show. And I found out after I filmed my last scene that she had already left with my belt. I told her that it was my favourite belt. It is very hard to come by, a little tiny belt. And I warned her that if she didn't return it to me before she left the studio, that things would happen to her. Terrible, terrible things would happen to her. She took it off and she ran off with my belt. She did not return it to me. She made no effort to turn it to me after 6 months of please, please, please at the studio and her agent. Never saw the belt again. And what happened to her career? Boom, shanker. What happened to mine? Well, my pants fell down because I had no belt.
Beautiful.
I think.
Right.
Now
Okay.
I've just thought of something.
Oh, gold.
I know of an
Dangerous.
agent that represents her.
I want my belt back.
And I know of said agent really well because he used to be my agent as well in the 90s.
Well, I want to know why did she turn to a life of crime
Well,
when her career was about to go skyward?
I will be
She can
messaging.
afford to buy
Yes.
1,000 belt businesses now. She could have belt factories all over the world, and she won't return my belt.
Uh-huh.
And just because it was 20-something years ago, it makes no difference.
Is there a reward if we get it back?
Richard, if you're listening,
Yes.
Mate, I'll be sending you a message later because he does
I want it
occasionally
back.
listen. Oh, God. Steve starts off by going, oh, dear, now we're in trouble. You see what happened, Steve? And then he says, when you finish, Rach, he said, that's a belting story, Rachel.
No, bum, bum.
Ba-boom. Paul says, most of us radio folk are better in the dark. Not Rachel, of course. You creep.
No.
You creep. Oh, God,
No.
they're all creeping now. Craig says, I have the iPhone 11.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting next.
Are you?
Yeah,
How much does it cost in Australia?
$11. I
Mm.
don't know how much it costs, to be honest with you. I haven't. Robbie buys all my phones because I'm not allowed to have a brand new phone every year. But I'm one of those people who is particularly kind to phones. I don't lose them. I don't scratch them. I don't damage them. I don't do anything with. So all my phones have lasted a really long time. So I had the 3, and that lasted about 4 years until it died. And then I had the 5, and that lasted another sort of 4 until it died. And then Robbie bought me the 8, which I use now, and I'm using right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's lasted me about 2.5. So I'm due. But he did ask me a very interesting question today. He asked me what phone I have and what model was it, and et cetera, et cetera. So he could be gearing up to get me a new phone, and I hope that's true because
Wow.
I would love the iPhone 11. I've seen it at work. It's marvelous.
Oh, I've got an interesting question. iPhone 11 or your belt bag?
Oh,
iPhone 11 with a little pocket where I can hang my. No, I want my belt. I want my belt to which I can hang an iPhone 11.
I'll message Richard later. I will.
Unless she owes me an iPhone 11, she probably got a whole factory of those as well.
Wait for the T2. What's the T2? Oh,
What?
I don't know. What's a T2 phone?
Don't know. T for 2?
Wait for the 12. Oh, the 12. iPhone
Oh,
12.
T2. Oh, the 12. Wait for the 12. You reckon?
I don't know. That's what Steve reckons. He's a bit of an appley
Okay.
fella as well.
Okay.
Wendy says, hello, Eric. I hope you are well, with a little kiss all the way from Shillington in Bedfordshire in the UK.
Bedfordshire, the place I go when I'm tired.
Right. Mwah. Back to you,
That's
Wendy.
nice.
Which kind of actually does a rather nice link, which I can't do, about the kisses. To answer your question, Rach, of earlier, what happened was I picked up my Samsung 10 Think Note and I said to Jan, can you hear me? And he's going, yes, I can hear you, but I can only hear him really bad. And I do have a bit of a paranoia about my ears, having had loads of operations to hear you guys and nearly gone deaf once. But thank you very much to the Slovak medical system, professor as well, who saved my hearing. It was 0 in one ear and 10% in the other, which wasn't very good for a radio person. But he did all these wonderful things and gory things, which I won't go into, and brought my hearing back. What a wonderful doctor. Absolutely fab. And he also reduced the tinnitus, which was the horrible bit. So anyway, I'm a bit paranoid about it. And I've grabbed the phone and I've thrown it to, well, not thrown it, I took it to Martina. I said, can you hear Jan? And she said, no, he's all muffled. And Jan can hear all this going on. So he phones me on my normal, like an old-fashioned handset phone. And he says, can you hear me now, Mother? So I went, yes. And he said, your ruddy phone. I said, no, I'll take it a bit. I'll do it. No, you won't do it. I said, Jan, I've only had it for 2 years. I said, and it's a lovely phone. I'll take it to bits and see if I can't fix it. No. In the meantime, he got our project manager in the UK to order via Alzar in Slovakia this brand new phone, and I nearly fell on the floor when I found out the price of it. 1,360 euros.
Yeah, I reckon that's about the same as the iPhone. So what was the lovely phone you had before that went gurgle?
It was the 10 Note.
Oh, so what you're saying is that lasted 2 years, and yet my Apples seem to last 4.
No.
I understand. Move on.
It now works perfectly, but he still wouldn't have it. And what we found out was, and as I had a little look on the interweb to see if there were issues like this, and it said, yes, get a lint-free Q-tip, drop it in some nail varnish remover, let it dry off a bit, and then gently rub the earpiece and see what happens. Well, I tried that, and it worked. It worked.
There's nothing that a lady's nail varnish remover won't do.
And, of course, what it is when you get all sweaty talking on the phone, it goes in the earpiece, and Logic said to me, oh, my word. So I then took the case off the phone, which was quite difficult, and I cleaned the speaker up properly on the inside, and it was all gooey and horrible after 2 years. Put it back together.
It's collecting good knows what. It's collecting years of it.
Yeah, from me. So anyway, I put the phone back together thinking, I don't know if it'll work. But it did, and it works beautifully again. But Jan said, no, I'm not having phones that do that. So he bought me this new one because it doesn't have the same problems with it. And that's why I ended up with this lovely new phone which multitasks. Actually, it must be a woman. It's a female phone. Yeah. It does more than one thing at once.
Yeah, you know what? Mobile phones in this country of Australia are much more expensive than in Britain or America. And this has been going on for years. It's a rip-off, and it's still going on. Right, you paid so much for your iPhone. Android, me too. It's just much more expensive in Australia, and I don't know what their excuse is because I don't think it's right.
We have the same issue between the UK and Slovakia, where the tech now is cheaper here. But one of the biggest things that's better here is cars. And I was looking at my car in the UK at the resale price, and I could get. I mean, I can't because it's left-hand drive, not right-hand drive. But in the UK, my car second-hand with low mileage is worth more than what I paid for it 4 years ago. It's ridiculous.
That's bizarre.
They're so much cheaper here. They really are. Anyway, getting on to a couple of bits quickly. Sad news, Norman Hunter, who was the Leeds United great, an England player, blah, 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 has sadly died after contracting coronavirus. China's Wuhan City is revising its death toll up by a 50% growth in one day. And the other thing that I think is absolutely fabulous is that there's been this huge campaign going on in the UK for Captain Tom, who's raised millions, and I mean millions, for the National Health Service in the UK. And Boris Johnson from Number 10 has announced today that he will be rewarded for his work after a petition of 500,000 names was delivered to Downing Street. And because there's a load of fake news about it the website the charity website that he's using have said there'll be no commissions taken, which they normally have to do just to stay afloat as an organisation. They're waiving all that, and they're adding another 100,000 to the kitty for Captain Tom of the Duke of Wellington's regiment, which we're very proud.
Is this a guy who's over 100 years old who keeps walking up and down?
He's 99 years old now. The original plan was to walk 100 times up and down his garden before his 100th birthday to raise £1,000. It's over 15 million now.
It's on 18,318,312 pounds and 32p.
Yep, absolutely.
It's got the figures.
Extraordinary.
Absolutely brilliant. And one more thing, I'd be more impressed if he was Major Tom. Ho, ho, ho. Very good. But I do believe he will be rewarded properly. And one thing I want to say, there's a big debate going on in the UK about wearing face masks. Now, the reason for that coming up now is the Khan, the Mayor of London, has asked the government to make it mandatory for people to wear face masks when on public transport in London. Now, of course, the naysayers have all gone up in arms, but this is what really happens, and this is a fact. When you sneeze or cough, it's rather like the speed of a bullet leaving your mouth or your nose, which is how people contract the virus in most cases. If you have a face mask on, it stops you giving the virus to other people. It doesn't stop you getting it. It stops other people getting it. So if you've got a mild version of the Covin-19 virus, you probably don't even know. Hello, Joe from Gibraltar. Good Lord.
Hello, Joe.
That's a good old radio friend of mine. Joe lives or works for a radio station in Gibraltar. Lovely to have you with us, mate.
See, Uncle Eric, there's so many people walking around that are asymptomatic.
Yeah.
And what that means is that they are positive.
Yep.
May not necessarily know they're positive.
Correct.
But if they were tested, they would test positive.
Absolutely.
Yet show no symptoms at all. We had a celebrity of sorts, a guy called Richard Wilkins, who's been working for Channel 9 for a very long time. He caught it from
about 150 years, right?
Yeah, he caught it from Rita Wilson, who is the wife of Tom Hanks, when he was interviewing her, and they had to test him straight away because they turned out to be positive, and he was asymptomatic. He showed no symptoms whatsoever, and yet could have, if they hadn't been tested, be still wandering around, handing it around to everybody.
Yeah, true. But anyway, what's happened now? I get that Slovakia is a very small country. It's only 5.5 million people. I get it, but equally they have very low resources compared to the richer countries. They've had 58 fatalities so far, which is a very, very low rate. The infection levels were higher at one point, and the Prime Minister, when we had a change of government a week into the virus coming over, and he then stands up and says, blimey, it's like an anorak fest at the moment. Keith's saying hello to Joe, Joe's saying hello to Keith. We've got anoraks personified. And our new PM then says it's mandatory you wear face masks when you go out. You can have them sort of round your neck when you're driving your car, unless you've got people you don't know with you, blah, 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 blah. And so it's a protection thing. Now, yes, because of my age, I am allowed to demand a face mask, and equally because I'm asthmatic. But I didn't bother. The fact is, there's a cottage industry of people making face masks here, and what they do to hold it on the bridge of your nose is they use those old-fashioned pipe cleaners, and they sew them into the material so it fits around your nose. It sort of shapes around the bottom of your chin, held on properly, and it is really amazing what these people do, making face masks for everybody around. You can see them in Slovakia, homemade masks everywhere. And the contagion volume rate is staying incredibly low, because when you sneeze or cough, you're not, giving it to everybody else. Joe says, "Hello, Joe. Oh, by the way, folks, we need a quick one because it was Joe's birthday the other day. So a quick happy birthday to Joe, please.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Was that a jingle?
Hang on, can you do your Rach? Can you do your Marilyn Monroe for him?
Yes.
Ooh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President Joe. Happy birthday to you.
Yay! President Joe, God forbid. Anyway, he says face masks in the UK. It's only because we're all ugly. You speak for yourself.
Oh, that's not true.
You speak for
some
yourself.
Of you, not that ugly.
You speak for yourself. I have a feeling this program could break its own hour today. I don't know why. Anyway, a nail varnish contains acetone. Always a good cleaner, but in very small quantities. Quite right, Keith. Absolutely right. A great thing for cleaning old-fashioned heads on VHS machines and that funny stuff that uses tape. There. Dave's all into that. He's into cassettes and DAT machines and silly things like that.
Only because I'm trying to unarchive your dim, distant past. Well, and mine.
Dim is probably the right word. The camera focus on this, I wonder why. I don't know. It's got a mind of its own. The cameras in this studio have a mind of their own. I think they
zoom in on movement.
They
so
do,
if you
don't
sat still, everything would be fine. It's just because you keep fiddling with your faders and your buttons.
Oh, is that what I'm doing
I
wrong?
didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially if he's crying over the Luxembourg. Then it zooms in on his face.
Oh, very droll. Very droll.
Dave's not letting it go now. Oh, no.
He's not going to let that go at all, is he? Anyway, sorry, guys. We're going to have to stop talking for a minute because throughout this week, we've been saying to people the reason why we're here is because we want you to stay safe. And because we're here, you have to listen to these little messages.
RTI.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Is there anybody out there?
Can you hear me?
How are you doing?
I'm not just an ordinary voice.
Not just a film trailer voice.
I am
A voiceover.
The Mind the Gap voice.
The X Factor voice.
The impressionist voice. So great.
The Big Brother voice.
Speaking clock voice.
The newsreader voice.
the smart speaker voice.
The voice of the balls.
The weakest link voice.
The cartoon voice.
The voice that says,
Press 1 for customer service.
And
don't forget your change, especially notes.
and
Gordon's alive!
We are speaking as one. To say,
To say,
Stay at home.
protect the NHS.
Save lives.
and
RTI. Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
keep talking.
Keep talking.
कुछ नहीं
खाली
बात करते रहिए.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Don't keep it to yourself.
And if others want to talk to you, listen.
We can all get through this.
If we stay at home,
Protect the NHS.
save lives, and
keep bloody well talking.
RTI.
One, two,
3. Wash your hands. It just takes 20 seconds. Wash your hands. It's for your own protection. No exceptions, no objections. You'll make such a nice impression. No infection if you only wash your hands. And you're done.
This is Radio Texas International Postcard from Poprad. God knows where it's going to go today because it's completely mad. Thank you to Dave for sorting those out for us. And who's that? How's the chat over here? The delay is terrible. I know, it's not my fault. I can't do anything about
That must
it.
be somebody on Facebook.
Probably.
Who's about 5 hours behind.
Yes, that's probably true. Hello to Mel and Tony. And also, how the Dexters do you say that? Mittel. Kansal. Wow. That's a nice name as well. Do you know, if only I could practice all these languages, I might actually get one of them right one day. Anyway, we may overrun a little bit today because I've done my Corona bit. Rach and Henry can do theirs quickly. Dave will do his. What I will say here is that some of the small shops are now open because I'm back to the Slovakia thing rather than the UK. There are places opening. I have heard from a really good, reliable source in the government that major centres which house, I'm not sure the exact number, but they would typically house up to 5,000 people, or between 1,000 and 5,000 people. The chances of those reopening before December is remote. Henry!
He's wandered off again.
Yes.
Pay attention.
Hey, what are you doing?
We can hear you.
Yes. Sorry.
We can hear you talking to your better half.
Well, I was just making sure she's watching the opera in the bedroom, which is her new office, and all of a sudden it's her, her opera.
Oh, right.
It's like,
so you're being a good Henry in telling her.
Sorry?
You're being a good Henry in telling her it's time.
I just look after the wife, She's
Oh.
not the wife, but she may as well be the wife, and I make sure she's okay. You know what she does, actually? She actually, during the day, because I'm in my studio, which is next to the kitchen, which is really a lounge room, she's in the bedroom, which has been converted into an office, and she actually Instagrams me or sends me a message through WhatsApp for a cup of tea. So I've become... I'm not sure I've become this person who has to supply her.
I know.
Room service.
I told Dave this the other day because we have an agreement, Martina and I. He said, Rachel, God, I got married to her. No, we're husband and wife on the radio only, dear. We have this agreement and she's so really, really good at it because some of the stuff we ramble on about in the office doesn't always apply to everybody in the office. So I go rambling on, and Martina doesn't get involved. She does her own stuff, and the deal is that in the office I am the boss. She doesn't even wait for to ask me if I want a cup of tea. She'll wander over, see the cup's empty, and she will go make me a cup of tea. And the other part of the deal is that she's the boss at home, which is great normally, but now all of a sudden. Are you making coffee, Eric? Well, I wasn't.
Well, you know what? You should both find yourselves lucky that you've got a spouse in the house.
That's very true. Eric, you've got no chance of learning other language. You can hardly speak English. Thank you very much. That's wonderful of you.
Oh, that's rude.
That's nice. No, we don't mind those. Oh, no. That's one of the good things. As I said to a director once of the BBC who said, why are you not upset with all this sort of horrible mail you get? I said, well, it means that we're actually doing something. I said, there's the best radio is somebody, a listener who loves to listen to the programme, others who hate you so much they listen to the programme, and some who love to hate listening to the programme. Those are the three things. If you get none of those, your radio's rubbish. No.
Yeah. That makes sense.
No, Joe, no. Joe's offering to teach me how to speak Spanish. No.
He can hardly speak English.
I know why you speak Spanish, Joe, because of Gibraltar and you're next door. That's where you is. No, I'm watching you live on Facebook, but to message you, I have to go to Messenger. There are other comments on Facebook. I don't think you can see them. I am seeing them, but it's a terrible delay, Joe. It's a terrible, terrible delay. And I don't know why. It just is. Possibly because Facebook is struggling at the minute. And I think everything's out the window. They don't know what the heck they're doing. So I'm not going to be terribly nasty to them for a few weeks until C-19 has calmed itself down a bit. If they're still being nasty to me, then I will blow my fuse. but currently I'm letting them off. The thing to do, Joe, is if you've got a pen handy and anybody else, if you're finding it difficult, the simple answer is go to all the W's, YouNow, all one word, younow.com/RTI radio. Same system as Facebook, chat rooms there, people are on it, and we have some lovely people on that. We've got 36 kisses so far. Whoa, that's good, isn't it?
Oh, that's nice.
Rach and Henry, over to you.
Okay, I'll start with some numbers for you, nationwide numbers, and then I'll talk a little bit about Melbourne situation, and then Henry can move on to Sydney situation. We have 6,491 confirmed cases. We have 2,618 active cases, 3,808 recovered cases, and 65 deaths. That's nationwide. That's pretty good, considering how many people we have here, 23-something million, and of course, you know, we're a land that's girt by sea. So, other than those travelling in and had to be quarantined, which is most of where our cases came from, there's only a certain number of those, a very small number, that have been transmitted by community, which is the most important thing, of course. Still, Daniel Andrews, who's the Premier of Victoria, just announced a couple of days ago, I think it was on Easter Sunday, thanks Dan, that we are going to remain at our current level 3 lockdown until May the 11th. Lockdown 3 basically means for us, it means stay at home unless you are in essential work, which I am luckily to be, and you mustn't go out driving for no reason. They will pull you over and give you a big fine. You cannot go wandering around in the streets. You will be asked what you are doing unless you're exercising, which leads me to believe that if you're just having a wander around and you're standing around being a bit of a lurker, if you see the police coming and you run away from them, you're technically exercising. So they won't be able to give you a ticket. I don't know that that's true or sound advice, but it's the advice that I'm giving.
Okay, I'm going to say hi to Robin Haig, who's just joined us as well. Hi, Robin.
We also we can go to the supermarket and for medical attention, and to the pharmacy. Supermarkets have restricted us to 100 people at a time, so you'll go into your supermarket and it's roped off and there's a guy with a clicker. And basically that's what he said is going to still remain for the next month or so, and then we'll see where we are. But it looks like we've had a bit of a plateau over the Easter long weekend, but we have to be very careful to remember that our testing numbers went down over the long weekend, so we may not be seeing true and accurate figures about Easter and about the plateau.
Staying in your part of the world, Rach, is NZ still got less than 10 deaths? To which one person replies, "Go Oz!" as well.
Go Oz, yeah. New Zealand went into stage 4 lockdown very early.
Yeah, hang on, I haven't told you to sent the message.
Who? Robbie?
Yes.
Oh, yay! Robbie never got Kylie Minogue.
Robbie.
But he does buy me Apple products, and that's okay.
She's pitching for a new iPhone, Robbie.
Oh, he mentioned it first, so, you know.
Yeah, she's pitching quite heavily today that maybe her nice husband is about to buy her a brand new iPhone. And the offers that she made on the radio, Robbie, you know, the housework, the cooking the dinners that you want, carrying home crates of beer for you, bottles of scotch. I mean, it was just phenomenal what she was offering. I
know. It was, and it was also, you know, untrue, but that's not the point. So Jacinda Ardern actually put everybody into lockdown a few weeks ago, and she put them on stage 4 lockdown, which means that nobody was allowed to go anywhere. Wherever you were at 11:59 p.m. that night was where you stay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've got the same rules where you can actually leave to get groceries, etc. But nobody was moving from where they were.
Right.
From midnight at night, and they've done remarkably well, but they do have less of an economic situation to deal with than we do, and there are a lot less people there. But good on Jacinda Ardern, we love her.
Okay,
absolutely. Can she be our Prime Minister Come on.
I love her. Her or Obama, I don't care which.
No, she's really nice. Before I move on, I've just realised what Joe was talking about earlier. Yes, you're correct, Joe. I cannot see all the messages on Facebook because they haven't joined them all together yet. What I am actually seeing is the messages that go on RTI Live on Facebook. And I cannot see the other ones in the groups and things. You're quite right. It's something that Facebook will need to address along with the errors on their software, yada, yada, yada. Whichever way round. So if you are listening or watching on one of the subsidiary services on Facebook, I'm really sorry if I haven't answered your question. I cannot see them. The only way I can see them is if you're on RTI Radio on Facebook, and then I can see them there, but I can't see any more. So there you go, Joe. There's your answer. And
I just want to actually mention what's going on in the state of New South Wales in Australia, here in Sydney. There was a man arrested. He's an unemployed man, was arrested by himself in a car in Sydney. Now, the problem with these state regulations is that everyone is confused. No one knows what's going on because it's a state-by-state thing, just like in the 50 states of America. People are confused. This man is unemployed. He's arrested, and $1,187 fine for him. And
which he's never going to pay, is he?
No. I was talking, I live over shops here in Bondi, and I said to the guy yesterday, I said, is your rent being helped? And he goes, no. And I said, what's going to happen? He says, well, I'm just not going to pay. I'm just not going to pay. And I think that he'll get away with it.
How many states are there in Australia, mate?
Sorry?
How many states are there in Australia?
7 states and 2 territories. Yeah, which is confusing because I don't know what the difference is. Another story I just want to quickly share with you. And I don't think I mentioned this last week. A policeman asked me where I was going when I was going to a chemist. And I said, I'm going to the chemist. And he says, what are you going to buy there? Now, I'm thinking, what a stupid question that is. And in the middle of a pandemic, he's asked me what I'm going to buy.
Well, he could be questioning you. No, hang on, Henry. Be fair to the policeman.
No, I am being fair.
No. He could have been checking that you weren't spoofing him by going somewhere else. So he's just going, right, what's he going there? Is he going there for gentleman's protective sex stuff, or is he going for real medical things? Now, if he's going for real medical things, that's cool. But if he's going for those things that you can blow up as balloons, no.
No.
Yeah, well, hang on a sec. Hang on, everybody. He actually asked me these questions, and I went to a legal website and found out that the cops in New South Wales in Australia are only allowed to ask you your name and address. That's all they're allowed to ask you.
Is that the same under critical law?
Absolutely right or not?
Is that not something that they could change during a pandemic?
Yes, absolutely.
That's probably the answer. See, the reason I'm sort of labouring it a bit. Yesterday, a guy was in a park, and the police lady, she went over to this couple and said, "What are you doing?" The lady just ignored her in the park, just ignored the police officer and carried on walking. They were that rude. It doesn't take 2 seconds to say what you're doing. And by the time that this couple, she carried on sort of and getting really frustrated, about 5 or 6 meters worth of walking. They ended up by the police van, and the WPC got her by the arm, spun around, and she sort of tapped against the van. And this guy starts filming it all. And the police officer, well, the woman was sort of chastising these people, say, go home. Then there was this sergeant who gave out his number as well. And he said to this guy, go home. And the guy said, I'm a journalist. I'm filming this to report on it. And the police officer gave him his name and rank and number and said, go home. And the National Union of Journalists are up in arms about this, saying, how could he do this? they want an apology from the police force. Now, there's one fundamental flaw in all of this. The guy's using a camera phone. Not at any point did he offer to show the police officer his press pass, anything that would describe him as a journalist. He just assumed that a policeman would know who he was. And I'm sorry, that journalist doesn't have the right to assume that a police officer would know who he was. And especially...
Yeah, but Eric, let me just tell you very quickly. In Australia, in most states in Australia, it is not illegal to actually video police. Absolutely not illegal.
I agree. But the rules of the UK currently are such that you can go out, you can do stuff, you can go for your day's exercise, you have to keep your 2 metre distance, all this sort of stuff. And the police officer kept saying, he didn't say, you're a bad person or anything. He didn't chastise him in any way. He just said, go home. And
I hear you.
And in my view, the police officer was right, because the journalist. Now, when I come to the office, I actually wear my press pass to show any police officer that I'm a member of the press. I'm allowed to come here, a la the rules of Slovakia, which I am. So I carry my press pass so that I can show people what's going on. And if I can do it in a tiny little town where I'm probably known better than most journalists, if I can be bothered to do it, then a journalist should be bothered. And I think that is just rude and arrogant to assume that the police officer should know. And he's not even on a national paper anymore. He got chucked out. And it's ridiculous. Hello to Blue Man. Ooh, that's nice.
As in the group?
Yeah, I think so. So I hear what you're saying, Henry, and I get it. But I think in these circumstances, journalists have got to be more responsible and say to the people that are trying to keep people safe. Sorry, if he'd just said, sorry, officer, can I just get my press pass out? I'm sure the sergeant would have been completely different. But the journalist said, no, I'm filming this, I'm a journalist. And he was really arrogant in the way he spoke.
He was on the defence, let's face it.
Yeah, and the fact is he deserved what he got. And good luck to the policeman.
More the offence than the defence.
Well, yeah, exactly. But anyway, we move on. Dave, your turn.
Thank you. Oh, yes, I'm still on, sorry. Let's start with the numbers, shall we? People in the UK that have been tested, there's 327,608. From those that have tested positive are 103,093, and sadly 13,700. No, 1,000. Yeah, I've lost the plot. 13,729 people have sadly died.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK, the current measures regarding lockdown will remain in place for at least another 3 weeks, and ministers have now set out 5 key tests that they will have to pass before the lockdown is eased. Other things happening in the UK, there are concerns regarding people's mental health going on, plus abuse happening within houses. There's calls for rubbish and recycling centres to be reopened following an increase in fly tipping. The Foreign Office has chartered 17 flights to return 4,000 British people from India. And following on from Captain Tom Moore, a Margaret Payne, aged 90, of Sutherland in Scotland, is aiming to climb the equivalent of the Highland Mountain Sulven, which is 731 metres high. And she's doing that by doing 282 trips upstairs in her home.
Wow.
She's previously climbed the mountain when she was 15 in 1944, but she's raising money for the NHS, and she aims to raise £10,000. And if I just go and check to see how she's doing, £10,000 she's aiming for. Currently, she's raised £89,045.48.
Well done, that lady.
If you fancy giving money towards Margaret Payne, she is on Virgin Money Giving.
Oh, that's
So,
nice. I'm just reading from the Police Chiefs Association in the UK. Some examples, and they're just giving examples to make it easy. Shopping, what you can do. Buy several days' worth of food, including luxury items and alcohol, or buy a small amount of staple foods that are necessary. For example, you can go out and buy a newspaper, pet food, loaf of bread, or a pint of milk. You can collect surplus basic food items from a friend, and you can also go and buy tools and supplies to repair things if, say, a fence has been damaged by high wind. Those are just some of the examples they're giving. Other things, no, you can't. So, you know, from a point of view of exercise, going for a run or cycle, practicing yoga, walking in the countryside or in cities, or attending an allotment, these are just examples. Driving to the countryside and walking, where far more time is spent walking than driving, that is allowed. Stopping to rest or to eat lunch while on a long walk, that is allowed. In some circumstances, exercising more than once a day if you haven't been stupid. What isn't allowed, driving for a prolonged period, only with brief exercise, a short walk to the park where the person remains seated for longer than they're actually walking. And that's just, I don't know, common sense to me, you know?
Well, yeah. On that note, a man in Swansea's been pulled over wearing high vis. He claimed to be out on essential work. They searched his car and found £57,000 worth of cocaine in his car.
Well, that's a bit essential.
Was promptly arrested and told that drug dealing does not qualify as essential work.
Right. So we now have a choice. Hello, Pete, who's given us a big thumbs up for the video. We have two choices now, boys and girls, because we've already overrun our time anyway. But knowing it's probably, if I've got this right, 10 o'clock in Australia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. We have two choices. Rachel came up with this fantastic idea of posing some questions to the accrued mass on this program and dropping us in the carts. And Dave was all up for this as well. Now, we can carry on maximum of another hour, because after that we'll go to Steve, who's doing his thing, or we go home. It's up to the crew. What do you want to do, crew?
I'll hang around.
I'll hang around. I'm home anyway.
Right.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all home?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're at your
That's
office.
true, you're not.
No, I'm not. So, to the audience, it's up to you. Should the team carry on, or should we all go home for our dinner? No, actually, they haven't got to go home. Me, I've got to go home for my dinner sometime. Flip your neck. Do you want us to carry on, chaps?
Asking the audience, this is dangerous.
I just need.
I'll hang around.
Sorry, I just need to do some recycling, because it's fish, and fish for dinner is very smelly, and I have to get rid of that. But I'm in and out, so I'll be here.
Oh, okay then. Well, the answers we're getting are yes. Oh well,
Yes.
Mad
Okay.
fools.
Why not?
you mad
Nothing
impetuous people. Well, because she dreamed up the idea, I suppose. Because I seriously, and although you probably won't be able to read it, I will put up my questions. I have written some questions. I really have written some questions. They're on paper. That funny stuff.
Oh, good.
I have two. So as I was requested by the producer, so I think we'll let Rachel start with one of hers.
Okay. What is the most unusual way you have spent your spare time while we're all locked up?
Oh, heck.
Right. Who's answering first then?
Anybody who can come up with an answer is the one that goes first, I think. I don't know anything unusual.
Dear.
Okay, well, I'll go for one.
Go on then.
It's not unusual, but it was quite unusual. It was a bit of a shock, actually. Yesterday afternoon, I was moseying around, as I do, in the house, and I got a message via my website and via LinkedIn, somebody who I haven't seen and was my best friend at primary school, suddenly managed to find me. He's living in Germany. I'm still living in the UK. He managed to find me, make contact, and within an hour we were on a WhatsApp face-to-face video call, reminiscing over old times, and we reckoned we hadn't spoken to each other for about 30 to 35 years.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So hello, Colin.
Hello, Colin. If you're listening, mate. Who's next?
Oh, God. Do I have to be next?
Yes, go on.
Okay. Well, look, I did a very unusual thing today, actually, in our time in Australia. This cat who I've watched outside my window, because I live in a very busy place, and the cat only comes out really late at night. And he was out in the middle of the day. And he was on the wrong side of the road, so there's a lot of traffic here, although less now. So I picked up the cat, and the cat did not like me, tried to kill me, and crossed him across the road back to. I know where this cat lives, and I was afraid that he was going to get run over. That's what I did today.
Oh, well, mine's a bit anarchy, really.
There's a surprise, eh?
Well, no, because I was talking to. I'll be honest, I phone Jan every day to make sure he's staying at home, because I know what he's like. And so I phone him up and chastise him and go, are you staying at home, blah, 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 blah. So he then starts to tell me how he's justified his shed. So what do you mean? He said, well, my wife is always chastising me for collecting stuff. I'm a bit of a hoarder like you. Me, a hoarder, never. And so anyway, he found all this paint in the big shed, and he decided, in his infinite wisdom, because it's so sunny and dry over there, that he would do something that she's been nagging at him to do for years, which is paint the ornamental shed. It's a bit like a gazebo with a roof on top. And it did look a bit worse for wear. So he then painted it and goes, nah. You see, it's worth keeping all this stuff. And that inspired me. So I went through some old boxes, and I'm sure Dave will remember this. When laptops first came out, there was a huge issue with the laptops dying and people not knowing how to get the data off of their laptop hard drives. And then somebody bought out this clever little plastic box which enabled you to, you sort of take the lid off, you put your hard drive in, screw it into the thing, it comes with a USB cable on it that you plug into another computer, and you can use it like we would call an external hard drive today. So I found one of these.
Docking station.
Yeah, kind of like that, but it's not a docking station. You just plug it in with the USB cable that came with it. And they were really dirt cheap. Somebody gave me one, and I just didn't have the heart to throw it away. So I thought, oh, hang on a minute. I've got a 500 gig hard drive here. Hold on a minute. Jan's always saying to me, I've lost my music. Where can I find it? And so I thought, I got an idea. So I put this hard drive in this really old little box, it's metal construction, plastic covers, about the size of an old-fashioned tobacco tin. And I just drag and dropped all of his music, which I keep on a separate server, onto it, and it is now winging its way to the UK. And so I did something strange. I re or upcycled some really old tech, turned it into some good tech, and I've sent it off so somebody can listen to their music. That's my story, which didn't get any round of applause at all.
Right.
It didn't even get a round of sandwiches. Henry!
Yes?
Your turn.
I'm running around the place like a lunatic.
Yes, I know.
That makes it even funnier.
Yes. You told your story, the cat. No, it's Rachel. Of course it is. Yes. Rachel!
Yeah?
You asked the question, what's yours?
Well, it's not that unusual for those who know me very well, but I found a dirty old toothbrush today in a drawer. And I thought, what a perfect time to do what I've always wanted to do. So I got a big bottle of bleach out, dunked said toothbrush into the bleach, and scrubbed all the grout in the bathroom.
Have you not thought of a steamer?
There's one here. I don't know how to work it. I don't like steamers.
They're very
Nothing
good.
like getting on your hands and knees and scrubbing grout.
Ooh.
That's so 1940s.
Isn't it? Hi to
That's
Suki.
such a great sound belt.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, being as you force us all into it, I'm going to do one of mine now, Rach.
Okay.
This is my question. When did you have your first car accident, and what happened?
Can I go?
Yep.
My first
Mine
car
was
accident, I wasn't driving, I was a passenger.
No, it's got to be. No, you've got to be guilty for it.
Oh, well, then I haven't had one.
What?
Never.
Never.
Yeah, neither have I. Neither have I.
Never.
What?
I've had a car accident when I was driving, but the court ruled that I was in the clear. Does that count?
What happened?
I was pulling out of a shopping park, having been to PC World, and I was turning right out of the exit from this car park onto a main road. There was a load of queuing traffic heading from my right to my left, and I was going right. So I looked both ways, it was clear, and as I pulled out, somebody was overtaking all the stationary traffic so he could queue jump, and I managed to drive into the side of him.
That's his fault.
Yes, that's what the court said.
So why did it end up in court then?
Because he claimed I was in the wrong and he was in the right.
What a numpty.
He also claimed I was doing 30 miles an hour when I hit him, and I was driving a people carrier, and I'd got from stationary to the width of a car, and by that time I'd reached 30 miles an hour.
Impossible.
Especially in a people carrier, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So go on then, Rachel, let you off. You can have one where you were the passenger.
Okay. My brother and I were driving from a place where my brother had to pick up a tux for my mother's impending third marriage, bless her. And she said, "You got to go here and get Phil's tux." I said, "Great." I was about 15 at the time, and I thought that at 15, drinking and smoking was cool. So here I am, sitting up in the passenger side with my feet up on the dash. Very dangerous thing to do. Wouldn't recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
And with a smoke in one hand and a West Coast cooler in the other. And Henry will understand what that means. And all of a sudden, the light started to... We were on a freeway. We were coming off a freeway. So we're doing about 80 kilometres an hour.
50 miles an hour.
And a woman, we were at lights, and the light was green. It all of a sudden turned orange, and this lady who was coming towards us and turning right, she decided she'd just go. So she went, and my brother had no chance to even hit the brake. So we went straight through her, doing 80. The car flipped 3 times. Landed the way we were facing. My brother was knocked unconscious by the steering wheel. We didn't have airbags back then. He was knocked unconscious by the steering wheel and the side door that he hit. I was winded like nobody's business by the seatbelt, which saved me. At least I was wearing a seatbelt. And when we landed on the ground, we landed with such force that I actually bit half my tongue off. So if you can imagine, I couldn't speak for about 2 weeks, and that was torturous. That was more torturous than anything.
I'll bet.
But we lived to tell the tale. The car did not. It had one of those, pull-out ashtrays that cars used to have.
Mm-hmm.
The force was so great that it knocked the engine block into the front seat. Wonder we didn't raise our legs. And in the back windscreen there was a perfect hole where the ashtray had shot through it like a bullet.
Blimey. Gosh,
so that was a terrible crash.
Go on, what's one of yours then, Henry?
Not his fault.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Is Henry there?
Sorry. Yes, I'm here. Yes.
So what experience have you had accident-wise and not your fault?
I never had an accident. It never happened.
Not as a passenger?
No, nothing.
Blimey.
I've been driving for 30 years and I've never had an accident.
Gosh.
Henry's no claims bonus must be massive.
Yeah. They must pay him to insure with him.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But you know what? I'm like an old man. Well, I am an old man now. But when I was young, I remember I was in Greece and on my honeymoon with my first wife and only wife.
I don't remember you in Greece. What part did you play?
Oh, Corfu.
That was perfect.
Yeah, funny, Rach. I was in Greece and in Corfu, and apart from flying off the side of, it was the top of a cliff with a ship, a little boat, I should say, carrying me up into the air. I think it's called something gliding. I don't know what it is, but I was 25 and I was crazy about doing this crazy stuff. But what I do remember is driving a left-hand car, and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought, yeah, I can do this. The gear sticks on the other side of the car, and then I went to a roundabout and went around the wrong way.
Oh God!
And I was in a car that was actually,
on the right, going on the right side rather than the left side.
Yeah, I did, and I thought I was so cool until that, and then I got beeped a lot because basically they could see the car was labelled with a rent car. It's the worst I ever did.
Oh, there you go. Well, mine was with a vicar's wife. Yeah, I know.
This is going to be good. Come on.
Well, I parked my car, and you've got to visualise that the driveway to our parking was 1, 2, 3 houses and the shop distance from where the shop was, to put it in perspective. And I'd parked outside the shop to run something in for my dad. And the vicar's wife, which was a Morris Minor, was parked about 3 metres behind me. Now, rather than go and turn round and come up the road the proper way, I thought, there's nobody about. I'll lob it in reverse gear, put my foot down in my usual fashion, which was either off or flat down, and reverse up and go in the drive. Unfortunately, when you go backwards in an old car, it's not as responsive as going forwards. So I moved the steering wheel a little bit, and all I hear is, oh no! My poor little 105E Anglia. I pulled it out as best I could, and there's sort of more gouging as I came away. I looked at the car, and there was nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing. And I suddenly realised that I'd got this special metallic paint on the car, which they used to spray onto vending machines. That really thick paint that you can gouge with a knife and you can't scratch it. And my old part-time boss had said, look, your car looks a wreck. Let's mask it up and paint it. I've got some paint left over from doing these machines that we were doing. So I went, oh, cool. It will change colour. I'll have some of that. So he sprayed it all. And it actually looked kind of good. Then I looked at the vicar's wife's Morris Minor, and the offside wing was crumpled. I thought, oh, heck. Then you have this moment. Do I go in and admit it, or do I run away and hide? Because there's nothing on my car at all. And after this sort of what seemed like an eternity, I went into the shop, and I said to the vicar's wife, I'm really sorry, I've just hit your car. So she said, which bit? I said, the offside wing. She said, how bad is it? I said, well, it's sort of crumpled it a bit. I said, would you like to come and see? She said, no, she said, I'm not really bothered. That's the rotten wing, and it's coming off next week, so don't worry about it. Thank you for coming and tell me, but it's not a problem. See you. Thank you for being honest. And that was it.
Honesty pays.
Yeah, it does pay. There you go.
And also the vicar, Eric, it brings up the vicar of Dibley to me.
That's Henry all over.
It just does.
That's funny.
Actually, I've got to say,
I love that car, by the way, and I'm sure, Dave, you love cars, and how great that car was. The Morris Minor. I never got to drive one in my life. I was always a passenger in that car going up to Belfast in Northern Ireland.
Do you know what, Henry?
I never drove one.
I raced one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I raced one.
Race those cars?
Yeah, we used to race
Slowly.
No. These were tuned up to the eyeballs, and we raced them on rallycross ovals, and it did really well for a while until I came over a yump rather quickly. All four wheels off the ground, as they are on these circuits, and as I landed, I felt everything wobble, and I thought, oh heck, and I couldn't really. But the steering was really funny. And I thought, there's the exit road in front of me. I'm going there because I don't like this. And as I went in, there was this sort of gouging noise. I thought, what the hell's that? And I had enough motion to get back into the pits. So when I got back into the pits, my dad said to me, have you seen the front of your car? I said, no, what's the matter with it? He said, the engine's on the floor. I said, what? the engine's on the floor. And when we looked, I'd actually completely broken the subframe of the Morris Minor, and everything had just gone and was on the floor, and that was the end of the Moggy Minor. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I had a V-dub back, and in fact, there's a woman who's been riding around or driving around this car, the V-dub Beetle, for 10 years since I've lived here in Bondi. And I always said to my girlfriend, I'd love to meet this woman. And the other day I went out and she was parked and she was in her car. And I said, I've been dying to meet you to ask you about this because I had an orange V-dub Beetle, which was actually a superbug, they called it, back in the early 90s. Every young guy in the early 90s
How
had
corona of it.
And she was delighted to talk to me, but then I saw a sign inside of her car which said, for sale. And I asked her why, and she said because she's lost her job because of coronavirus. And I thought that was the saddest thing, to meet a woman who owned this car and who I have been watching for 10 years, driving around and wishing.
Oh, that's sad. Hello to Anna, who's still with us. And there's another one that's passing messages onto other pages on Facebook, but I can't see them. Never mind. Well, at least it shows they're working. Dubri Den Anna. We'll probably be playing Ludo tonight with this wacky thing we're doing. You've got me thinking now, Henry, about these sort of wacky cars. And I think my most wackiest vehicle was one my brother-in-law helped build originally. And it was a Ford Transit van. Now, he came up with this bright idea that if you unbolt, because the old Transits, you could bolt all the panels on and unbolt them. That was the beauty of those as just a delivery vans. You bump the front wing, you just unbolt it, bolt a new one, and off you go again.
Eric Wiltshire is white van man.
No, mine was red.
Post office van.
It was nearly post office red. It had a TV aerial on the roof. It had pictures of the galaxy on each side. It was called Gemini. It had how big were the back? They were 8-inch wide on the back, 6-inch wide on the front wheels. And so we took the front of the van off and we bought
6-inch wheels.
6-inch wide.
Oh,
wide.
Say,
not the
6 inches.
No. We took the front of the van off, and John had said to me, do you know what? If you put a diesel front on that, I reckon we can get a 3-litre engine in it. So I went, really? He said, yeah. I've heard somebody talking about it. You just reverse the engine mountings and it all fits. So I thought, oh, okay. So we tried it. We got a 3-litre Capri engine. We put it into a Ford Transit. We then got, from a wrecked car at Santa Pod, a 4-barrel downdraft Ollie, which is a carburettor, which is like 4 carburettors in one. Thank you for liking the video, Teresa. Thank you. We then took it to a rolling road when it was all put back together, and I'd eventually got the DVLA, the car registration people, to accept what was going on. And this one is really good as well. Oh, okay. Keith likes our comment about going to the radio garden to listen to RTI in your car. It's good service. And we took it to the rolling road. They chain it, and it got to 150 miles an hour, this Ford Transit, And the guy testing it said, I'm not going any faster. It's starting to lurch around all over the place. Don't go any faster than 150. Oh, okay. So I drove around with this rather large van, which I used to tow my race car with, which did the princely sum of, here's the punchline, 12 miles to 1 gallon.
Good grief.
12 miles to the gallon. That's all it did. And that's if you drove gently. If you put your foot down, it would do about 8. And when you were out in the countryside and there was no policeman about, you turned a little mechanical switch on by the driver's seat, and instead of the normal exhaust working, the 2 motorcycle sidekick exhausts came in, and all you could hear was as this V6 went hurtling down the road. Great vehicle. I sold it to a guy in Milton Keynes who promptly lumped it into a lamppost and wrecked it. What a fool.
Genius.
Oh, no, what a pill of lark.
I think, is Rachel still with us? Because I know how much she loves car stories.
I nodded off for about, I don't know, 20 minutes. But
okay,
if you're
right.
back, that's great.
Rach, back to you for your second question.
Oh, my second question is, other than your significant other,
Mm-hmm.
who would you most likely to be in a lockdown with right now? Living or dead?
Oh, that's too easy for words.
Go on then.
One word answer?
Share.
Oh, if you like.
Share. It would either be Cher or Sam Fox.
Okay.
Why?
Henry?
Well, Cher...
I don't...
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to answer or Henry first?
Yes.
No.
You
I need
answer.
something.
You want me to answer? Okay. So,
I need
Cher, because she makes wonderful tea. And she does, because she made me a cup of tea once.
Yes.
And Sammy, and I still have the CD, I managed to blag my way into what was called Sammy's Bar, which was a nightclub. She was then going out with Peter, who was that idiot Australian that sold this green tea.
Oh, the scoundrel.
Yeah, yes. He was a real hooligan. And one of the guys I worked alongside with on the side, he was selling this green tea and said, "You're always going on about Sam Fox. You want to come and meet her?" Ha, I'm going. So anyway, I managed to grovel to him and he took me. And we were all like introduced as if they were royalty. When it got to my turn, Sam said to me, "Oh, what do you do then, Eric?" I said, "Well, actually, I'm a bit of a malingerer." I said, "I'm more interested in your music." She said, "Oh yeah, come on, page 3. I said, No. And Sam had just got her first album out. And so when we all gone through, we'd had something to eat and drink, and this poor DJ was DJing in the club. Nobody was dancing. So she came over to me. She said, "Are you really into my music?" So I said, "Yeah." And we sat for about 5 minutes talking about it. She said, "Well, get the DJ to play something and we'll have a dance." Oh, hey, this is good. So needless to say, I put a slow track on. I'm not stupid. And so I danced with Sammy for this track. She then said, "Oh, Eric, I'll be back in a minute." And I thought, yeah, right. That's the end of that one then. And she came back about 5 minutes later to Eric with all my love, Sam, kisses on the bottom. And it was her first album signed, well, it was a CD, signed by Sammy Fox, which I've still got.
Lovely.
They're nice. She's a lovely lady. Actually, she's a really nice lady. Really nice. When she's not like, pretending to be the socialite, she really is a lovely lady. As is Cher. She's just so normal. So normal. Brilliant. But anyway, that's enough of mine. Over to somebody else.
Henry?
Oh, I don't know. I think I've got a couple of people that I would pick. Olivia Newton-John, who of course is Australian.
No, Henry, you got that wrong. Olivia Neutron-Bomb.
No, we don't call her that out of respect.
Why would you say that?
Because she was a neutron bomb. She was so cool.
I'm guessing that's a
compliment.
A compliment.
Yes.
Okay. Well, amazing. She is in stage 4 of cancer at the moment, breast cancer, and she's just amazing. She's set up what they call a wellness center, because what Olivia thought was, and by the way, she's really stuck in Melbourne. She can't go anywhere, and she's lived in America for so many years. But she set up what she calls a wellness centre because she was sick of seeing people with cancer in these hospitals, hospices, these places which were clinically clean, and that's all important. But she wanted people to actually have fun, whether they're dying or not, just to have fun. So she called them wellness centres, and she's raised millions of dollars for this globally. And that's who she is for me.
Oh, brilliant. Dave?
I don't know. I've been sitting here racking my brains trying to come up with an answer. I'm assuming I can't have my daughter with me, so that.
What about Kenny Everett for you?
I don't know, because it's all very well. I'm looking at the practicalities. It's all very well we coming up with these people, but what happens if you don't like who you end up with because you don't really know them? You only know of their persona. So there are lots of people I could probably reel off, but all of them I keep thinking, well, they might begin to irritate after a while.
What about your friend Uri Geller who bent your keys?
What, get him to bend them back again?
Yes.
No, you know what? This is going to sound really, really sad. I would prefer just to be on my own, and then I can talk to people online, and I'm quite happy with my own company.
What about you, Rach?
Well, mine are going to be a little bit unusual. One in particular is going to be very unusual, but my very first choice would be Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory. Jim Parsons played Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah.
And I've seen him in other things, and he's just the most extraordinarily gifted actor. He was more than just Sheldon. He was so many more things than Sheldon, and he's I've been watching him on his Instagram, which he's not particularly busy on when things are normal, but he's been taking these online art classes because there's something to do, because he's never painted in his life. And turns out he's really good at it, which is mildly annoying.
Right.
But he's just seems like such an interesting and well-rounded guy. And he had a big career before he was Sheldon, very big on Broadway, and just somebody that I admire.
Okay.
And the other person that I would have would be, and a lot of people won't know who this is, but I know who he is, and it's my question. I would have Corey Monteith, and Corey Monteith was very famous for his role as Finn Hudson in Glee. And he died in July of 2013. He had a lot of demons. He was really trying very hard to get better, and unfortunately couldn't get better, and tragically passed away in a hotel room in July of 2013. I would like to talk to him about what that show meant. That show was groundbreaking for its time. It was the creation of Ryan Murphy, who went on to create many other wonderful programs like all the American Horror Story series. And he's a very gifted drummer and musician. Didn't realize he was a singer until he started doing Glee. And what I have discovered in my my boring hours of watching YouTube was that he was in the middle of or had filmed a big a wide array of independent films when he was on hiatus from Glee, and he was much more than that character. He was a very, very very good dramatic actor, and I would like to invite him into my home for lockdown and pick his brain also.
That's
Plus,
a
I
nice
think
one.
he and Jim Parsons would have a really, really good time.
All right. Hello to Pete Hall, who's watching us on Facebook, and Mike D. I think I said hello to Mike, and various other people. If you're messaging us on Facebook, guys, don't forget we can't see those messages unless you're on RTI radio page. It's the only page that currently I can see your messages coming in, and I can see some of you are messaging, but unfortunately I can't read them, which is a bit of a pain in the derriere. Now, whilst we've got a bit of silence for a minute, we're here because we want you to be safe. An hour ago we played these, and I'm going to play them again for you right now. Please listen to the message. Please listen to the messaging. It's critically important, and we only do this. This is an extra part to the show to enable you to get these messages. So please listen.
RTI.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
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 Hello. Is there anybody out there?
Can you hear me?
How are you doing?
I'm not just an ordinary voice.
Not just a film trailer voice.
I am.
A voiceover.
The Mind the Gap voice.
The X Factor voice.
The impressionist voice. So great.
The Big Brother voice.
Speaking clock voice.
The newsreader voice.
The smart speaker voice.
The voice of the balls.
The weakest link voice.
The cartoon voice. The voice that says,
Press 1 for customer service.
And
Don't forget your change, especially notes.
and
Gordon's alive!
we are speaking as one.
To say,
To say,
To say,
stay at home.
protect the NHS.
Save lives.
and
RTI. Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
keep talking.
Keep talking.
Continue de parler. बात करते रहिए.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Don't keep it to yourself.
And if others want to talk to you, listen.
We can all get through this.
If we stay at home.
Protect the NHS.
Save lives and
Keep bloody well talking.
RTI.
1, 2, 3. Wash your hands, your hands. It just takes 20 seconds. Wash your hands, your hands. It's for your own protection. No exceptions, no objections. You'll make such a nice impression. No infection if you only wash your hands. And you're done.
Can we say hi to Trevor from Tarina? Where the dickens is Tarina, people? Where's
No
Tarina?
idea.
Where's Tarina? I never heard of it. That's a new one on me. Somebody look it up. We're here to the top of the hour, extending Postcard from Poprad as an unusual because of the Covin-19 problems. Hopefully we're keeping you smiling with all the messages coming in. I suspect we are. So thank you. And do listen to those messages and do take them on board. It is incredibly serious. Dave, have you got any questions?
Yeah, okay. What is your go-to pizza order? So what's the one
Ooh.
gonna have pizza? What are you gonna have? It's always that one that makes you happy.
Oh, I can do that in 2 words.
Go on then.
Meat feast.
Thin crust, stuffed crust, deep pan.
Deep pan.
Come on.
Deep pan, meat feast. From a great little pizzeria just off the edge of the centre in Poprad. It's called a pizzeria, and it's wonderful. Oh, I see. Tarina is a name. I get it now. Tarina, you want me to say hello to Trevor. I got it now. Sorry, Tarina.
Oh dear.
I got that wrong, didn't I? Well, I didn't understand. I don't know. Evie says, "Can we say hello? Hello, Evie. How are you, Evie?" Sorry, Trina. Where's Trevor then? Is he not with you?
He's in lockdown somewhere else, probably.
Probably, yeah, absolutely. Let us know where. Are you guys apart?
Cookies?
Cookies? What cookies?
I don't know.
Oh, Trina likes cookies as a must-have food. I got it now, Trina. Thank you. What sort of cookies? Yeah.
They've got to be chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, no, don't. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Actually, Louise, my daughter, is an expert at making chocolate chip cookies.
Can you stop talking about chocolate cookies?
The only problem is she's 50 miles away from me and keeps sending me photos of the ones she's made.
Oh, right, okay.
I can forward them on to you.
No, I'm not allowed them. I've got
cookies from Domino's.
Oh,
yeah. Good choice.
No.
And they're nice and warm and
sticky.
And they're good. Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dribbling.
No,
I'm going to cry, Dave. I'm going to cry.
What's wrong with Rachel?
No,
Rachel's going to turn around and say she should put pineapple on pizza.
No,
That's
no,
wrong.
no. Well, yes, I would, but I realise I'm dealing with a bunch of troglodytes, so I'll keep that to myself. I must say that the only pizza that is allowed in my house is Robbie made pizza, because he is Italian. He knows how a proper pizza is to be made.
True.
And currently not here, so I am boycotting pizza until he returns.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And I've got to say, beetroot in hamburgers. This is Australian. I don't understand this. I don't understand sweet products in the middle with meat. I just don't get that.
Do you know what they?
Well, that's Henry. It's culture. Come on.
Do you want a worse one, Henry, to make you grimace? I'm going to make Henry grimace now, because if you don't know, Henry's involved in the wine trade.
Yes, I am.
Trevor. Oh, it's Trevor Collins is my husband, and he's sitting next to Tarina. That's nice. Good. You're all together. That's the most important thing ever. Wonderful.
No, it's not the most important thing. We're together like a lyric.
Yeah, because Rachel's husband's in another part of the continent of Australia, and he's in lockdown and can't come home. You are sitting down, aren't you, Henry?
Yes, I am.
Thank God for that. In Slovakia, they are very partial to red wine. And everybody takes red wine everywhere. But when they drink it, they fill the glass up half full with red wine. They then top it up with cola.
Oh, that is so bad.
That's sacrilege.
I agree.
That is sacrilege, yes.
It's horrible. It's just not, no. But it's so traditional here.
I never witnessed that at the Cork Wine Bar. I got to
No,
tell
you wouldn't there. No, you wouldn't have.
Had I?
Oh,
had I witnessed it, I would have been slapping glasses out of people's hands.
I quite agree with you. Couldn't agree more. Henry, have you got a question?
No, I'm just still reeling from what you just said.
Okay.
I find it amazing that people, when I first drank any alcohol, my father, back in the 1970s, I was like 15, and we had a shandy. Do you remember shandy?
Oh.
And that was a mix of lemonade and beer.
Yes.
And that was my first experience of that. And from then on, I thought, that's not right. I wanted to drink real beer by the time. I didn't drink till I was 18 because I was brought up in boarding schools, and there's no way you get hold of cigarettes or beer.
I'd have found a way.
And my point is to yours. Really mixing these drinks, it's awful.
I know.
I don't like it.
Dave, have you got another question?
Let's have a look here. What's the dumbest thing you ever did at school?
Dumbest thing I ever did at school. Dumbest thing
I ever did in school.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, I know.
I can't believe Wiltshire was
I know.
model student. But go on then.
I know. I was desperate to leave school because I'd already got my future career lined up with British Telecom, well, GPO at the time. And I had to go and sit there with my school blazer on with my long hair. And after I'd got it in writing that I was going to go and work there even before I took my final exams. Because I'd passed the exams that you have to sit, or you did then, to actually take on the apprenticeship with British Telecom. So I thought, I don't want to stay there. I can go and work in the local garage and make money. Screw this. So I tried everything. I literally tried everything. Never had my school uniform. Went into school with my leather jacket, my denim cut-downs on, my riding boots. My mum was horrified. That didn't work because the headmaster said, if you normally come to school wearing this, you're exempt, you can go. Oh, flip. So the final resort, I gets on my motorbike, because I'm 16 by then, and it's a 600cc BSA with a sidecar on, which you were allowed to ride on your own back then on L plates. And my mum said, what are you doing up so early? I said, I'm going to school on my motorbike. I'm not going on the bus today. Oh, all right then. And she was really bemused because I was the one that was up 30 seconds before the bus was leaving. So I rode to the school just at the point where the school caretaker was unlocking the gates of the school. And he said, "Flipping heck, Wiltshire, what are you doing here so early?" I said, "I just want to make sure I got a parking space." "Oh, okay." So I parked my motorcycle in the headmaster's parking space. He went ballistic. And I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Are you better than me then?" He said, "I'm going to phone your father." I said, "Well, phone him if you want. I am not moving my motorbike just because you haven't got a parking space. That's your tough luck. You should have got up earlier." So he phoned my dad, and Dad said, "Eric, just come home." And by the time I got home, they'd had a chat and decided it would be better off if I left school. Yes! 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 So I only went back for one day, and that was to take my music exams, because that was the only exam I hadn't sat. I sat all the rest of them. They were all easy. But I went back to do my O-level music before I went to work for British Telecom. But I actually that was my most silliest thing at school, getting chucked out.
Rachel, what was yours? I'm not sure if I heard that.
Oh, my goodness. I did a couple of really silly things at school, unsurprisingly. But I was madly in love.
Because you were an actor at the same time. You were a child actor.
I was. And because of that, I didn't really have many friends. Everybody was either horribly jealous or just thought I was silly or whatever. But, I mean, I ended up with more money than them. So, but
you see, Rach, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. It was you as well.
And it wasn't just me. And I actually thought later in life this boy was probably regretting that decision. But I professed in front of everybody, people, including the people who didn't like me, I professed my love for him in public, but in an entire Shakespeare soliloquy from Romeo and Juliet,
Lord.
which of course he didn't understand. Nobody understood it. And at the end of it, when I stood up to receive my expected kiss, he just said, "You got to be kidding, don't you?" and walked away and left me mortified in front of all the kids. And then when I left school and went on tour with Fiddler on the Roof later that year, I wrote him and all my enemies a letter saying, "Oh, it's fabulous here in lovely Adelaide and in lovely Melbourne to do my tour, and I hope you will miss me very much, and I hope you will regret the way you treated me because it was abominable. And now I'll see you next when you wash my car or take out my garbage."
Oh, can I share one with you that was shared to me from somebody else? And this was actually Jan, because when he was a little boy, he had, and if anybody's ever met him, well, you have, Dave, he wears rather thick glasses because his eyesight is so bad. If he wants to read a letter and his eyes are a bit tired, he takes his glasses off and he puts the letter almost to his nose, and then he can read it. That's how poor his eyesight is. And because of that, when he was younger, he got bullied a lot from school because they all said he was thick. He wasn't thick. He just couldn't see anything. And so a couple of years back, I said to him, "Yeah, what the hell are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, it's all right, mate. Don't worry about it." He invited all of his school friends free for a long weekend in Aqua City. And, of course, they all came over. They go, "Oh, look, Jan, aren't you so clever? Yada, 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 yada." And I'm watching him, and he looked at me. He just winked at me. And I went, "You git." And, of course, all he was doing was indirectly getting his own back for all these people that used to bully him, that have got regular lives, nothing special. But there he is, sitting in, and he said, and for some reason they were all talking English, and he said, "Oh, this is Eric, by the way. He does this, that, and the other. He's not here in Aqua City, but he does all these other things, blah, blah, blah," tells everybody. And then he speaks the ultimate words, and somebody asked him a question. He said, No. If you want one of those, it's not a problem. This is my gaff. I own it." And that was all he said. And there was this sort of stunned silence all over the place where everybody realised that they'd been really rather horrible to this young boy who, in actual fact, had turned out 10 times better than the rest of them all put together. But there you go.
Yeah.
We've only got 12 minutes left. I have to save. How much time do I have to save? Because we keep getting asked for this, and I'm going to play it again because we do get asked all the time. I've got to save 4 minutes for the official Covid-19 video and song about Slovensky Rye, which is an old folklore song, and everybody seems to have fallen in love with it. And it is a great song. And it's so clever because it says, do you know what? None of us are perfect. None of us are absolutely right all the time. But we love our country. We love our father. We love our fatherland. And it's just a wonderful place to be. And I thought, how befitting for that. And I'm so proud that so many people have asked us to play it again. So when it gets to 4 minutes before the top of the hour, we will play Slovensky Raj, which stands for Slovak Paradise in English. And it's a beautiful song. Trust me. They've put kind of a modern beat to an old folklore song. But I have to say, it just works. I'll squeeze one or more of my questions in because I had to be slightly naughty, didn't I?
Yes.
When was your first kiss on the lips with a person of the same sex?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that would have been...
Same sex?
Same sex. A boy...
that would have been in grade 1.
Yeah.
And I was in the sand pit with a guy called Jason, and he said, "I want to be your boyfriend."
No, but
that's not the same sex.
That's not a girl. I said with the same sex.
Oh, the same sex.
Yes.
Oh, that was in grade 3 in the sand pit with my girlfriend Julie.
That sandpit saw a lot of action.
Didn't
Actually, I think I was about 10. I was about
me.
10, and I was about 10 years old. It was my girlfriend Lisa, and we were rehearsing a play, but we didn't have any boys, so we just kissed each other.
Oh, Henry?
Well, my girlfriend, who I've been with for 25 years or nearly 30 years or something, she's one of 7 children, but 2 of her brothers are gay. And one of them I always kiss because that's the thing you do.
That's nice.
People,
yeah.
And he's great, and it's not seen because I'm heterosexual and all that sort of shit. Sorry, excuse my language, but
Henry, wash your mouth out with red wine.
Henry said to swear.
Hey, well, you've done it, Rachel.
Yes, sir.
Anyway,
Yes.
My point is that David, lovely guy, and I've always kissed him hello, and that would not be the first or the last. It's just what happens.
Yeah, nice, Dave.
I can't think of one.
Oh, come on, Dave.
You know of one happening.
Dave.
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dave,
Sure you were there.
Dave.
I'm sure
You're gonna have to.
I'm sure
You're going to have to jog my memory.
Were you not there at the launch of Freedom FM, the gay station in London?
Yes, I was there that night because I found the disc.
Did you really?
Yeah, I've got that as well.
Okay, the story goes like this. My ex-wife was an absolutely mad groupie of Culture Club, in particular Boy George.
Oh, Boy George.
Boy George.
Yeah. And I got this job from George to start setting up the first ever gay radio station in London. We got the license, blah, 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 blah. And I did a deal whereby Freedom FM was on overnight, CMR was on in the daytime, and everybody was marvellous with it. And so we're waiting at this launch, which was extended for the first night till 8. And there's no George. Flipping neck. Then all of a sudden you hear really loud noise coming up Gray's Inn Road in the centre of London. He's only got an armoured vehicle, and he's standing out the top of it because it's like one of the ones where it's like a tank but got wheels on it. And so he's standing there like the tank commander with a leather helmet on from the top, waving to everybody as he comes up the road. He drives into the Brain Yard, as it was called, the studios, jumps out, meets the manager, and they're all huggy-kissy. For the life of me, I can't remember the guy's name now. But anyway, he said, look, and I heard him say, you must come and say hello to Eric. You've not met him yet. And, you know, it's down to him sort of thing. So he came over and he said, Eric, I've talked to you on the phone. I respect you so much. You've done an amazing job for me. Thank you very much indeed. Don't worry about your invoice. I'll pay it in the morning. It will happen. It'll be marvellous. And so he kisses me on the left cheek, the right cheek, and then kisses me on the lips, which at that point was still a bit of a culture shock to me. But I took it.
Culture club.
Yeah, very good. My ex-wife standing next to me, and I said, "Oh, this," and he said, "Oh, no, lovely to meet you." And he shook her hand. No kisses, not one.
Yeah, that's.
Yes,
that's different.
That was my first experience being kissed by a fella.
Well, there's better ones to have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I remember Boy George used to record his show every week opposite when I was doing mine, and he used to try and put me off.
I know. He was a laugh, wasn't he?
He was a good laugh.
He's another one of these people who, all right, he had his bad times with the drugs and everything, and then going to prison, da-da-da-da. But in truth, he was just such a normal person. He never came across... He never did the, hello, I'm a celebrity, get out here sort of routine.
Also, Eric, his parents, his father was Irish, you know.
Well, that's true. But in fact, most of his extended family are Irish, actually, come to think of it. Yeah, they are. But he's another one of those massive celebrities who, because they have nothing to prove anymore, they are the least most arrogant people on the planet. They're just really fantastic. But anyway, we've got to that time after 2 hours, and I'm shot to bits, watching all these screens and buttons and bits, where we have to say goodbye, boys and girls.
Aww.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a bit different. Rach, for you first.
Yeah, I've got to take Gordy for his grooming in the morning. I'm allowed to. I'm exempt from the naughty bits, and I'm allowed to.
Oh, right. Well, that's cool. Hello, Gordy. Gordy.
Oh, he's looking at me yawning like I'm going to make snacks.
Gordy.
Walkies,
Gordy. Walkies.
No, he's not going to make any sound. Sorry.
All right, you can say goodbye then.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Henry.
Good night for us in Australia at 5 to 11, and good afternoon to everyone in Europe. I'm going to actually try and sell some wine on the phone tomorrow, and then so I'll sleep all day.
Oh, well, there you go. Dave, what about you?
I'm off to go and archive more of our dim, distant past for next Monday and next Wednesday, I think.
Dave?
So stay safe. Bye-bye.
I found another 3 terabyte drive.
No.
Yes, with our radio shows on it. Oh, for goodness sake. Guys, Rach, Henry, and Dave, on behalf of all those listening, thank you very much indeed for staying the extra hour. It's much appreciated. To Steve Bishop, sorry we nicked an hour of your programme, but that's the way it goes when it's coronavirus time. And to everybody else, please listen and note the messages we gave you. And we'll just play this one quickly for you because it's important.
1, 2, 3. Wash your hands. It just takes 20 seconds. Wash your hands. It's for your own protection. No exceptions, no objections. You'll make such a nice impression. No infection if you only wash your hands. And you're done.
Absolutely. And we will leave you with Slovensky Raj, the official COVID-19 music video 2020, which has been put together by all the artists, well-known artists of Slovakia. It is a wonderful folklore song, been brought up to date, and it's just fabulous. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Apologies to the one we haven't managed to pass on comments from, but we'll do it all again very, very soon. Join Dave and I, by the way, on Monday. We'll be back.
Venované všetkým Slovenkám a Slovákom. Nech každý z nás je dnes lepší, ako bol včera, a vlast naša bude veľká a slávna.
Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj. Na tvojich horách nádhery trónia, v údolí šumí háj. Na tvojich poliach si spievali, otcovia naši pracovali. Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj. Hej, mám očinu v svete jedinú, kde domov našich mám. Tu si milujem jej, šťastie prajem, v srdce jej svoje dám. Tu šumia hory aj potoky, Rom spieva krásne im do vody. Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj.
Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj. Kopce sa belia, vose tam zvonia, láska tu kvitne v maj. Kvitne v maj, na tvojich lúkach vyrastali, z ich tvojich trepien vodu brali. Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj. Sme národ dobrý, sme veľmi prajní, aj keď tučí a zlo. Spolu staneme, všetko zvládneme a našu rodnú zem nedáme. Zobuď sa, priateľu, pohľad slobodu preč zoberú. Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj. Zobuď sa, priateľu, pohľad slobodu preč zoberú. Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj. Slovensko moje, otčina moja, krásna si ako raj.